Hello programmers, welcome to feeding.net. So in this particular session we are going to build logic around commonly used interview program in C Sharp. We will start with counting character frequency in a string. Like we have a word India, so what is the frequency of each letter? After that we will see how to remove duplicate character from a string. Then we will see find all possible substring from a given string. Here we have an example ABCDs. Then we will see all possible substring using ABCD. Then we will move on to how to reverse each character in a string. Like we have an initial input hello and we will end up reversing each character from the string. So in the end we will see how to reverse each word in a given string. So here we have a sentence and we will going to reverse it.
Before moving on, please subscribe to the channel.
Now let us start the session with a program called counting the character frequency from a string. So we have a sample input string called India and we have to count each letter frequency used in this string. So the output will be I is used twice and rest of the character is used once. So we have a function called character frequency count which takes a string parameter as an input and we have passed India as a input to this method. Now at step 1 I am using the toLower method of string to make every character in this string as a lowercase since string is case sensitive. So now in next step I am creating a dictionary object. So what is dictionary? So dictionary is basically a collection that stores key value pairs and each key in the dictionary must be unique. You cannot repeat the key in the dictionary. So the logic here to count each character frequency is to iterate each character from the string, and if that particular character, if that particular letter is not present in dictionary, so initially the dictionary will be empty. So if that particular character is not present in the dictionary, so just straightforward add that character as a key to the dictionary and set its value to 1. Like you can see I have debugged this program and the first character of India will be I. So what code checks? Okay, it is not present in dictionary, let's add to the dictionary. So you can see in dictionary I has been added as the first index of this dictionary. I has been added to the dictionary. Now moving on to the next, that is N, and N is also we know is not in dictionary, so again it will add to the dictionary. Now moving on to next character, that is D, and we know D is also not there in dictionary, so it will also going to add. So now moving on to next character is I, and we know that I is already there in this dictionary as a key. So if a key, if a character is already present in the dictionary, so leave the key as it is and just update its value to plus plus. So if you can go to dictionary, what happened to I? You can see I is already there at the 0th index position of this dictionary, but we have increased the value of I to 2. So that is the frequency of character I used in letter India. So moving on to the next character, that is the last one, A. So we know A is also not there in the dictionary, so it will again going to add this to the dictionary. So we have the 4 character added to this dictionary with their frequency noted down as a value. So now if I run this for each, so you can see I is used twice and rest of the character is used once. So this is it guys, how to count the character frequency from a string.
So moving on to our next program, that is to remove duplicate characters from a string. So here I have a method called remove duplicate character in a string which takes a string variable as a parameter, and here also I have passed the same input as India. So here in step 1 I am using the toLower method of string to make all the character in a string in lowercase. So here if I see the result, after that I am creating a string variable to store the result. So here also I am iterating each character or letter of a string and the logic I am using is that if that particular character is not present in the result variable, then simply append that character into the result variable. But in case it is already present, that is the else case, then simply ignore that. So here you can see the first character is I, and since it is not present in the result, I am appending that letter into the result variable, and you can see the result variable is I. Now moving on to the next iteration, now I have the n letter, it is also not present, so it will also going to add into the result variable. Next one is D, it will also do the same, but the next one is I, and as we know, I is already there in the result variable. So if you can see, it will not go to the if, it will go to the else part. So here I am simply ignoring it. Now moving on to the last character, that is I think A, and A also is not there in the result variable, so it will going to append it. And here let's check the result that says after removing the duplicates from India, it becomes INDA. So that's all.
Moving on to our next program, that is to find all possible substring combination from a given string. So here I have a sample input called ABCD, and we will going to generate all possible substring combination using that. So the approach I will be using is to pick the first character, to pick the first letter from the string and try to generate all possible combination. Like I picked letter A, and the all possible combination is A, then AB, AC and AD. So likewise I will be doing for rest of the letter. So let's start with the method. So I have a method called find all substring, which takes the string as an input parameter, and I have passed the same input ABCD to the method. So inside the method I have couple of for loop. So the starting for loop is to iterate through each letter, and second for loop is to generate possible substring combination from the iterated character. So now let's debug this program. So the first for loop will going to start from I equal to 0. So if I do stri and I value is 0, so it will going to be A. So as we know, at 0's index the value will be A. Now in second we have another for loop. So that for loop will going to start from I plus 1. So the j value is 1. So here if we see, the first index will always be B. So what I am doing, I am just appending the value of temp with strj, that is 1. So that will going to become AB. So this is one of the substring combination. So now this j loop will going to run until this condition, that is j less than string length, and it will try to find all possible combinations. So here the j value is 2. So 2 is basically C. So if you can see, C is appended with the earlier string, so it become AB. So the same way the next value will be ABCD. So all possible combination of C is done. So then it will reach to the initial for loop, and since we have I plus plus, so the I value will now going to become 1, and 1 is basically B. So now the inside for loop this time try to find out all possible combinations starting with letter B. So if you can see, it will become BC. So in next you can see it will make BCD. So now again it will reach out to the initial for loop, and this time I value will become 2. It means it will try to find all possible combination of C. Same way it will, once the inside for loop is done, it will again come back to initial for loop, and this time it will try to find all possible combination of D. So if I just put a debugger here and try to see the result in console, so you can see we have all the combination starting with A, then B, then C and then D. So moving on to our next program, that is how to reverse each character in a string. So to accomplish this, I have two approaches. The first approach is the normal way, and the second approach is the efficient way. The only difference between both these approaches is the number of times the for loop runs. In normal way, the number of time for loop runs is equal to the length of the string, and in efficient way it will always be the length of string divided by 2. So that is the difference between both these approaches. So now, so the approach I will be using is to fetch the last character from the string and append that character into the result variable. Then I will do iteration I minus minus and I will going to pick the second last character from the string, and again I am going to append this to the result variable. And so this way I will move from extreme right to the left. So let's debug this program and let's see. So initially the result variable was blank, and when I do the for loop here, the for loop I is started from length minus 1, and then I have a condition I should always be greater than equal to 0, and I have the iteration I minus minus. So here you can say I value is 4. So what is 4? So you can see I have the index listed over here. 4 is basically O. So now check the result. We have the O. Now we have the second last element. I do the I minus minus. Now I is 3. Now check the result. I have appended L with O. So same way it will work for rest of the character, and let us check the result in the console. See, reverse of hello is O double L E H. So that is a normal way. So now let's move to the efficient way. Here I have again used the same input parameter hello, and here I have created a string builder object. So the efficient approach I will be using here is to pick the first and pick the last character from the string and swap each other. Now second step would be to pick second character from the start and second character from the last and swap each other. So in this way the last element will already be sorted. So here you can see I have a for loop where to pick element from the start I have I variable, and to pick element from last I have j variable. So j value is length minus 1 and I value is I equal to 0. And since I equal to 0, I need to use the iteration I plus plus, and since I am starting j from the last, I would use j minus minus, and the condition I have used is I should always be less than j. In that way I don't need to sort the middle element. So here you can see, so let's debug and check. So I have picked the first element, copied it into temp. First element was h. Now I have picked the last element and copied that element into the first, and then I have copied the temp character into the last place. So this is a basic logic to swap two variable. You can also use it to swap two numbers. So let's move to the next iteration where I value is now 1 and j value is now 3. So now what they will basically going to swap, that is this E and this L. So now see the result. So you have the reverse string. Now just print this value to the console. So you can say the reverse of hello is O double L E H. So that's all good. So moving on to our last program, that is how to reverse each word in a given sentence. So here I have an input India is great, and the output that we are expecting is great is India. We will going to pick the last word in the sentence and going to store that into a result variable. Then we will going to pick the second last and we will append that value into this result variable, and same way we will going to do for the 0th index value. Now moving on to the reverse words in sentence method, where again I have used the string parameter and I have passed the input as India is great. So now in next step I will going to use the split function of string and split this sentence using space in between and storing it into a string array. So here you can see the result. I have 3 value in the string array, 0 1 at second position, and I have the value India is great. So now in next step I will be declaring a variable to store the result. So now come to the for loop part, where I have the I variable and whose initial value will be this string array length minus 1. So it's basically its length is 3. So I value will be 3 minus 1, that is 2. And the condition I will be using is that I should always be greater than equal to 0, and the iteration will be I minus minus. So here you can see using the I index value, that is 2, I have fetched the second index value from this string array, that is great, and stored that into the result variable. Now if you can see the value of result is great. Same way, let's move on to the next iteration. Now the I value will become 1. This time it will going to pick the first index value from the array, that is, and it will become great is same way for the last index value, that is I equal to 0. So now since I value will become 0, it will not going to run beyond that, since we have a condition I greater than equal to 0. And you can see the result in the console, reverse of India is great is India. So we have the output. So I hope each and every string manipulation program is pretty much clear to you. In case you liked our video, please do subscribe our channel. It will motivate us to create better and descriptive video for all the audiences.